Welcome back to Better Than a Pill. I'm so glad you're here with me today. And I just want to start off by thanking God for making this podcast possible. And, it was born out of the fact we want to be proactive about our health, exploring holistic options, along with what mainstream medicine has to offer. And as many of you know, I am a certified Christian health mentor. I've been working on that. Last year, I got certified. I'm super excited. And I just want to take a second and also thank Jamie Jacinto for her program. It's been such a blessing. And and also just that I truly believe that our health and wellness is rooted in a personal relationship with God, and surrendering to his goodness brings healing and wholeness. And as most of you do know, I do walk with the Lord daily. And and I'll be honest, some days I do that better than others, right? And that's a gift. So today I am going to be talking about one of the fruits of the spirit, because that's one of the ways that part of living whole that we want to nourish ourselves in is we're going to talk about love. So we're going to be talking about the fruit of the spirit, love, today. So nourishing ourselves with filling ourselves up, and we're going to be talking about love and its importance from a health and wellness standpoint. One of the most valuable things we can do each day is fill ourselves up with God's love just by being present with him. I know for me, this is key, and I need to do that. For me, first thing in the morning is that's how I start. Get rid of all the junk, getting into his word, and then doing my best to stay in constant communication with him throughout the day. That when I do that, the better my days are when I do that and I don't take that steering wheel. So I just want to start off by kind of going through some key points here about love. Number one, love is freely given. Jesus is the ultimate example of love and how God freely gives it to us. Romans 5:8. But God demonstrates his own love for us in this: while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. So God doesn't love based on what we do, but he loves us based on who we are. He's already chosen his children and loves us even on our worst days. He chooses us, when we acknowledge our sin and weaknesses and we trust in his love and grace. For this, I am so grateful, because I don't know about anybody else listening, but I know that I mess up, that I am a sinner. And this is a huge gift. This is a freely given gift of love. Also, I want to say that love is mutual. We are commanded to love God with all of our heart, soul, and strength. Deuteronomy 6:5-9. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength. God's love for us is far beyond what we can comprehend. But it's important to ask ourselves too. And myself, I have to ask, are we fully loving God? And if so, what does that look like? How are we spending our time? And, if we were to have someone follow us around, what are we giving our time to? This really can reveal where our heart truly is. Love is also a statement. What statements are you making about God's creation? What statements are you making about yourself? God has created you, and everything he has given you, given me, is a blessing. This is our bodies, our minds, everything belongs to God, and he has graciously entrusted them to us. So, really, we have no right to be unhappy with how he's made us. We are wonderfully created in his image. So, being stewards of our bodies means and minds taking care of them, loving them, and opinions about ourselves based solely on personal desires or worldly standards are not really from God, and they don't reflect his love. A lot of times, in my opinion, they reflect comparison thinking from what I am learning and continue to learn. And it's just does not serve us. We are uniquely made, and we want to love ourselves. And that's important. So just paying attention, like we talked about before, and the thoughts that are coming to our mind, and lifting yourself up and so forth. I need to do that for myself and defeat those things all the time. Love is also directed. So to remain or abide in God's love means staying connected to Jesus, living in continual relationship with him through obedience, faith, and trust. John 15:9 says, "As the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Now remain in my love." When you abide in this love, you not only find safety and security, but also thrive and you begin to bear fruit that benefits others. On the other hand, if you abide in something apart from Christ, the fruit will be bitter. It will include or can include fear, anger, sadness, self indulgence, insecurity, and hopelessness. So I encourage myself, I encourage everyone listening to turn to Christ and abide in his love first and foremost. So love is directed in that manner. Love is also sacrificial. So we want to, as it says in Philippians 2, verses 3 and 4, do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interest of others. So relationships, that's part of our whole living design when it comes to our health we have our mental, our emotional, relationship, spiritual, physical, all those things are important to our health. Relationship health, relationships are central to God's design. The most important relationship we have is our relationship with him. Then that's followed by our relationships with others. And true love often requires sacrifice, giving of ourselves in a healthy, meaningful way when we serve others. So we're drawn outward and then we're filled with true love. So there's a phrase that I've heard before, and some of you may have heard it, and this applies to love. You have to give it away to keep it. This applies to love too. One of my favorite verses, it is my favorite verse in the Bible is 1 Corinthians 13, 4-7. And I'll read it. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It's not self-seeking. It's not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Only God's love is perfect. And this is known as agape love, right? I've learned that. As humans, we're going to fall short. And, personally, I ask him to be more like you, less like me, strive to be more like him and less like we are as humans in our flesh, right? Love is also not always about comfort. It sometimes requires difficult conversations or setting firm boundaries. Love protects in many ways. Part of loving our mind and body is protecting it. For some of us, it's protecting our back from certain movements or our feet, like we talked about before, or whatever it might be, right? That's very important. In relationships, love often calls us to set boundaries, and sometimes they have to be firmer boundaries. If there is somebody that's causing you harm, we can still love that person, but in a way that prioritizes safety, peace, and well being. This higher form of love sometimes is called tough love, and sometimes it's not always seen as loving, especially by the person that you may be setting the boundary with or that's receiving the boundary. To some people, it may even seem unkind or unfair, but it stems from genuine care. So that's one thing I want to point out because love is protective in many ways. Our relationships, our body from pain, injury, and so forth. As I'm growing into, and when it comes to keeping a record of wrongs, I believe this means forgiving without holding grudges. However, sharing how someone's actions have impacted you and holding them accountable can still be an act of love. Accountability is not the same as resentment. It's about wanting to help others, wanting to help them grow, and also protecting your own heart. So, I hope that this has been helpful for some of you listening today, this fruit of the spirit. And I ask you, some of the things that I always share in the well body method is that you want to remember when you're doing whatever you're doing today to be patient and kind to yourself, and that will help in how you're working with others. Listen to your body and focus on your progress wherever you are today. It's not about perfection. If you fall off track, no matter what you're working on in your health and wellness, just simply get back on. Life is not perfect, things happen. And the most important thing is that you just keep moving forward and that you don't give up. If you don't quit, then you win today. Some of you listening today, you may be struggling with back pain, joint or muscle pain, and you're just tired of it. You just want to move, you want to live pain-free, get back to the activities you love, and I'd love to help you do that. As most of you know, as I mentioned earlier, I am a Christian health mentor. I have over 26 years of experience helping people with their health, alleviating back pain, reducing stiffness, and other discomforts. You can schedule a well body consultation today and receive personalized insights and strategies. Simply click the link in this episode or reach out to support at movementcraft.com. So let's work together. Let's get rid of that fear of injury and say hello to a more active, pain free life. And because you are a listener of the Better Than a Pill podcast, you will receive an exclusive 50% savings just for letting us know. And remember, we release new episodes every other week on Wednesday, and I truly look forward to having you join me then.